Welcome to the Theory Primer. Theories give us perspective. Theories are like windows in a house, where you can look through multiple windows into the same room and get a different viewpoint from each window. When we talk about learning and instruction, we have three different perspectives. The first is behaviorism. Behaviorism views the mind as a black box. According to behaviorism, learning is regular expected responses. We know learning has occurred when we receive regular expected responses. Instruction, according to behaviorism, is repetition and reinforcement, and that is how we help people learn and develop. The second perspective is cognitivism, and it views the mind as a computer. According to cognitivism, learning is recall of stored information. If we can recall stored information, we know that learning has occurred. Instruction, according to cognitivism, is helping to grab someone's attention and then help them make sense of information and store it for later recall. The third perspective is constructivism. And constructivism views the mind as a rhizome. That is, all the different skills and knowledge are nodules that are interconnected to be drawn off of as needed. According to constructivism, learning is building knowledge by doing. Instruction, according to constructivism, is guiding problem solving. We're responsible for guiding our learners solving new and ill-defined problems. Now, based on those perspectives, we come up with two different types of theories. We have what is called descriptive theory, and descriptive theory in education helps us to answer the question, what is learning? Learning theory, which is the outcome of that, attempts to describe what learning is. The second type of theory that we have is prescriptive theory, which answers the question, how do we help people learn? The outcome of that is instructional theory, which give us methods for how to foster learning. In summary, we have three different perspectives: behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. From those perspectives, we have two theory types: descriptive theories, which are learning theories, which try to explain what learning is and how it happens, and prescriptive theories, instructional theories, which try to prescribe ways to help people learn and develop best.
Meet Teacher Tony. Teacher Tony is concerned about teaching long division. Most of his students can't seem to understand the concept and how to do it. Teacher Tony needs help.
I can't get my students to learn long division.
Why don't you use cognitivism to help you teach a difficult subject like long division?
What's cognitivism?
Cognitivism is a learning theory that focuses on how information is received, organized, stored, and retrieved by the mind.
What?
Cognitivism views the mind as an information processor, like a computer. For example, in the classroom, instruction should be organized, sequenced, and presented in a manner that is understandable and meaningful to the learner. Cognitivism emphasizes retention and recall through the use of quality teaching practices.
Huh?
You've probably seen cognitivism at work and didn't even know it. Cognitivism is often used in developing classroom lessons and helping students learn higher-order thinking skills. Common examples include starting a lesson with a hook to create interest, activating prior knowledge by beginning a lesson with a review quiz, chunking information into comprehensible and digestible parts, using graphic organizers to help structure and relate content. These are all examples of cognitivism at work in a classroom. Now let's see if we can apply the principles of cognitivism to help solve Teacher Tony's problem. First, Teacher Tony needs to decide what skills students need in order to understand long division. After thinking, Teacher Tony found that in order to understand long division, students should know basic multiplication, basic division, and how to subtract numbers. Sequencing instruction by teaching prerequisite skills such as multiplication, simple division, and subtraction first will help students build upon prior knowledge to better learn how to do long division. Teacher Tony prepares two things to help his students. He creates the mnemonic device, Dead Monkeys Smell Bad, to help students remember the steps of long division: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. He also creates a color-coded poster that walks students through the long division process step by step. If students get stuck, they can look at this poster to help cue their memory. After implementing these principles of cognitivism, Teacher Tony's students are doing a much better job of understanding, retaining, and recalling the long division process.
Using cognitivism really helped my students learn long division.
If you are wanting to teach difficult concepts to your class, you can use cognitivism to help solve your problems, just like Teacher Tony. Meet Teacher Tony. Teacher Tony is having difficulty engaging his students in learning about resource sustainability and waste. His current curriculum doesn't build communication and collaboration skills or promote critical thinking and problem solving. He feels his students are passive participants in the learning process. Teacher Tony needs help.
I can't get my students to learn higher order thinking skills and problem solving.
Why don't you use constructivism to help transform your teaching so that students are actively engaged with problem solving in meaningful contexts?
What's constructivism?
Constructivism is a learning theory that equates learning with creating meaning from experience.
Huh?
Learning is more meaningful to students when they are able to interact with a problem or concept. Constructivism can help engage and motivate your students by making them take on a more active role in the learning process. Constructivism utilizes interactive teaching strategies to create meaningful contexts that help students construct knowledge based on their own experiences.
Huh?
You've probably seen constructivism at work and didn't even know it. Constructivism is often used to teach higher order thinking skills such as reasoning and problem solving, while also helping students transfer their knowledge to new and different situations. Common examples of constructivism include role-playing or simulating a historical event or time period, debating controversial current event issues and topics, utilizing cooperative learning groups to teach multiple perspectives, and allowing students to engage in real-world activities like internships. Now let's see if we can apply the principles of constructivism to help solve Teacher Tony's problem. First, Teacher Tony must decide how to actively engage his students in the topic. Teacher Tony decides to utilize the idea of problem-based learning to actively engage his students by challenging them to answer a real-world problem. Teacher Tony came up with the following essential question.
How can we reduce waste to help sustain Earth's resources?
Teacher Tony planned the following activities to help students answer the essential question. First, students will tour a local waste and recycling plant to learn firsthand how waste and recycling materials from their community are handled. Next, students will weigh and record how many pounds of food scraps their family puts into the regular trash each day. Then in groups, students will further research solutions to the problems in books, on the internet, and by interviewing experts around their community and the country using the telephone and Skype. Finally, the student groups will determine how they want to demonstrate their solutions to the essential question. Examples might include student-created books, slideshows, and public service announcements about recycling and the 4 R's. These learning artifacts could be displayed to members of the community and parents at a family recycling night. After implementing these principles of constructivism, Teacher Tony's students are more actively involved in their learning by engaging in problem solving, higher order thinking skills, and collaborative work.
Using constructivism really helped engage my students.
If you are wanting to build problem solvers and critical thinkers, then you can use constructivism to solve your problems, just like Teacher Tony. Meet Teacher Tony. Teacher Tony is concerned about his classroom management. Teacher Tony needs help.
I can't get my students to behave properly.
Why don't you use behaviorism to help shape appropriate student behavior?
What's behaviorism?
Behaviorism is a learning theory based on the idea that behavior can be controlled or modified based on the antecedents and consequences of a behavior.
Huh?
For example, in the classroom, a behavior will only occur if given the right environment or antecedent. The behavior is more or less likely to reoccur based on the reinforcements or consequences that follow, such as rewards and punishments.
What?
You've probably seen behaviorism at work and didn't even know it. Behaviorism is often used for shaping classroom behavior and helping students learn basic facts and skills. Common examples include, you can watch TV as soon as you're done with your homework. Students who complete all homework this week don't have to take the quiz on Friday. Receiving a sticker for a correct answer on a math problem. And students who arrive late will receive detention. These are all examples of behaviorism at work in the classroom. Now let's see if we can apply the principles of behaviorism to help solve Teacher Tony's problem. First, Teacher Tony needs to decide what specific behaviors he wants his students to exhibit. Teacher Tony decides he would like students to show 4 behaviors. Teacher Tony wants students to come to class on time, have materials out when the bell rings, participate in classroom discussions, and push in their chair when they leave class. Next, Teacher Tony must decide on reinforcements or consequences for his students. Teacher Tony decides on 2 reinforcers. First, Teacher Tony will award classroom money to students who demonstrate behaviors. Money can be spent on class rewards, such as using notes on a quiz or turning in homework late with no penalty. Second, Teacher Tony will take away money from students who fail to demonstrate the behaviors. After implementing these principles of behaviorism, Teacher Tony's students are coming to class on time, have materials out when the bell rings, participating in classroom discussions, and pushing in their chair when they leave class.
Using behaviorism really helped my classroom management.
If you are wanting to shape student behaviors and learning in your class, you can use behaviorism to solve your problems, just like Teacher Tony.